I'm Allison from Learning at the Primary Pond. I'm a literacy specialist, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how to get your kindergarten, first, or second grade students to move from being maybe overwhelmed by writing or unmotivated to becoming confident, fluent, and independent writers. If you have any students who tend to just stare at a blank page and not get anything done, or they rush through their work, write a sentence or two and tell you they're finished, then stick around because this video is perfect for you. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would love for you to do that now, and then also hit the little bell so that you don't miss out on any of the brand new videos that I post about teaching literacy. Strategy number one is to start small and simplify. We might think of writing as one singular task, right? It's writing time, we're practicing writing, but in actuality, writing is made up of a bunch of different skills, and for kids who are still building these foundational skills and they're not yet automatic, then writing is gonna be really hard, right? Because they're asked to use all these different skills all at once. For example, think of a kindergartner or first grader who's trying to write a sentence. They have to, number one, understand what a complete sentence is, right? And know that it has to have a who or a what, and we have to say something about the who or the what, or like there has to be an action word, right? So they have to know that. They have to come up with a sentence, but then also hold on to it in working memory long enough to get it written accurately. And this in itself is hard for kids. And you've seen this if your student has ever said, I'm gonna write this sentence, and then they wrote something and it was either slightly different or completely different, right? They didn't hold on to it perhaps in working memory successfully. That's something that they're building. They have to know how to form the letters correctly. For some kids, their handwriting still is not fluent yet. So that's effortful, right? They have to know how to spell words or be able to segment them, stretch them out so that they can spell them. They need to know to leave spaces between their words, how to spell words that are irregularly spelled, like the word what, for example. There's just so, punctuation, capitalization, there's so many little skills involved in writing. And so we have to do a couple of things. Number one, we have to make sure that we are giving them skill instruction in those areas. So we need, even outside of writing time, handwriting instruction, phonics instruction, instruction in how to not just read, but also spell high frequency words. All of that stuff has to be happening so that when it's time to actually write, kids have the skill or they're building skills in those areas. So that will help them. But even when it's time to write, we still want to, again, start small and break things down. So let's talk about some examples of how to do that. Early on in my teaching career, like when I was teaching kindergarten, I would do some modeling for how to write, for example, a personal narrative, which is a true story from your own life. And my modeling would be fine, but the problem is when my kids actually sat down to do it, there was this disconnect. I had kind of given them too much at once. And so this is where I really learned to break things down. So I'm gonna give you an actual example of how I break things down to teach the genre of personal narrative, or really just having them write a personal narrative. Now, you may not have to break it down as much depending upon the age of your kids, and maybe you've already written a couple of personal narratives together and now the kids are kind of able to do it on their own. So obviously adjust this to meet your needs, but I think what's really key here is breaking it down into smaller chunks so that kids can be successful with each part before we ask them to put it all together. Because again, on top of figuring out what their story is going to be, they're using all these foundational skills that they may not be really automatic and fluent in. Okay, so to break down like personal narrative writing, I might, it's helpful if you read some books that are personal narratives and then ahead of time, and then you can pull them out and be like, hey, these stories that we read, these are personal narratives. These are true stories from the author's lives. And today you are going to get to start your very own personal narrative story, and that's going to be a true story from your life. Now, first, what we're going to do is we are going to come up with our topic. So I'm going to think about, what's a time when I felt a really strong emotion or feeling? I might have an anchor chart, right? Like different feelings, words, very happy, very upset, very scared. The one time that I felt a very strong emotion was when I was running in the city and I fell down and I felt very embarrassed. Everybody falls and that's okay, but I just felt very embarrassed in that moment. So I might have some kind of organizer or even honestly just blank paper displayed, and I'm gonna draw a picture of me having fallen down while I was running in the city. And so that's just picking my topic, right, and drawing a picture of it. So then right then and there, the kids are on the rug in front of me. I'm gonna give them a clipboard. I'm gonna give them paper or a graphic organizer. They're gonna talk to a partner to pick what their seed's emotion is. So sometime when they're really excited, oh, I was really excited when we went to the theme park, right? They're gonna pick their topic by talking to their partner, and then they're gonna draw just a quick sketch, nothing elaborate, on their piece of paper that shows their idea. And then once they've all kind of figured out what they're gonna write about, then I ask them to just, fold their hands. They're putting their work down for right now and put their attention up on me. And so on the board or whatever, I'm gonna say, okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plan a beginning, a middle, and an end to my story. So I need to kind of play back that movie of what happened in my mind and ask myself what happened first, next, and last. So then I would talk them through, and at this point I definitely would have a graphic organizer that has 3 boxes for beginning, middle, and end, and it would be labeled. So I would have a graphic organizer because they're then gonna do the graphic organizer. So then I would just think aloud and draw little pictures. Oh, first I was going for a run, it was a beautiful day, and then just draw a sketch. Then I tripped on the curb and I fell or whatever. People were asking if I was okay. And, then I went back up to my apartment and cleaned up, whatever that happened. So I would just think aloud as I'm drawing those pictures, a beginning, middle, and end. Now that might even be too much depending on your kids. So you might just want to model thinking of the beginning, and then they draw their beginning on their own graphic organizer. Thinking of the middle, and they draw their middle. Thinking of the end, and they draw their end. Or you could do it all like this. It just, again, kind of depends on your kids. So then after I've done this, or if I'm doing it beginning, middle, end by each part, they, on the rug with their own clipboard, are drawing beginning, middle, and end of their story. And that's all day one. That's it for writing time. They've picked their topic, they have drawn pictures, and if you're, teaching 1st or 2nd grade, they could actually jot some words down. They are finishing day one with a plan for their story, but they have not actually written the story yet. So day 2, we come back. Okay, now that we have a plan for our story, we're gonna actually write it. Let me show you how I take my picture for the beginning and turn that into a sentence. So I'm gonna model taking I forgot to bring that here to show you, but a 3-page book. So just like typical primary writing paper that has the space for the picture and the lines, page 1, page 2, page 3, because if you have a 3-page book, that really lends itself nicely to beginning, middle, and end. They love it because it feels like a book. You staple it ahead of time. And so then I model, okay, here's how I take the beginning of my story and I turn that into a sentence. And that's all I model, just the beginning. And then I give the kids their own little writing books. They take their graphic organizer that they completed yesterday and they write a sentence for the beginning. And you can have them draw a picture too, for sure, because sometimes getting a picture drawn helps kids with writing. But since they already drew a picture in the organizer, I will have them write the sentence first and then they can illustrate. And then you come back and you do it again. Okay, now I'm gonna write the middle of my story. Model doing that, then the kids do theirs, then model the end, then the kids do theirs. And this could take more than one day, right? It just kind of depends on how much time you have for writing. And then there might be another thing where you're going through and you're modeling editing your story, right? And you're doing some of those skills and the kids do partner editing. So that could be another day. So all of that is to say, this is not just for personal narratives. This is not just for kindergarten. We want to take whatever task we want them to do and break it down. So think about how you could apply that to your own practice. Is there a paragraph that your 2nd graders have to write where you could just have them write the paragraph, or you could teach them, here's how we write an introduction sentence. Now you write your introduction sentence. Here's how we add some more details. Now you do it. Here's how I write the conclusion. Now you do it. Not every single writing task has to be broken down this granularly, but again, coming back to my main strategy of break things down, we need to break it down to a level where it's manageable so the kids can be successful. So think about how you might do that. And then also don't forget, we talked about all these foundational skills that kids need to build, like handwriting, spelling, all these other things. Don't forget to work on that during a different time of day so that they can also build those skills, which will make all of this much easier. And one more thing I want to say about that, as you're, working on different things like spacing, using invented spelling, whatever, like make those be a lesson in themselves too, especially at the beginning of the year. So yes, you're going to have your separate time when you're building those foundational skills, but also we want to teach kids how to apply them, like stretch out a word or segment it before they spell it, like model that and have that just be one mini lesson, and then the kids are maybe practicing right after it. So break down things as much as you can for kids to be successful. And when kids are actually editing their work and going through and looking for things, speaking of breaking things down, this just reminded me of it. We'll talk more about this writing folder, which I have this resource for you for free, but give them a checklist, have them read through their entire piece of writing looking for only one thing or maybe two things at a time, because that's another way to break things down and get kids to really look for things carefully, not just like, oh, yep, it's done, I'm good. No, they should read it a couple of times, maybe get help from a peer. Okay, we're just gonna look for spelling mistakes. Now we're gonna read it again. Now we're just gonna look for capitalization mistakes and fix those. So breaking down even the editing process can also be really helpful. All right, strategy number 2 is to leverage oral language. Before we dive into this strategy, let me know in the comments if your students ever struggle with writer's block, meaning like they sit down, they're not sure what they want to say, and they're not really getting anything done unless you're coming up there and like really helping them, really trying to drag it out. Let us know in the comments. Just comment block if you have noticed that your kids are struggling with getting out what they want to say onto paper. So that leads us to our second strategy, which again is to build kids' writing ability through oral language. Writing is more or less talk written down. Now, written like academic English is at a higher level than the level that we speak, but when we're talking about the primary kids, we don't necessarily talk in complete sentences. We want them to write in complete sentences, but there's just a lot of similarities, right? And our kids, for the most part, many of them, they know how to talk. They know how to say a lot of things. So we can harness that ability and try to get them to leverage it to become better writers, right? So there's different things that we can do to use oral language. Number one, when you're asking kids to like answer questions, whether it's during writing time or another time, teach them to answer in a complete sentence. You're going to need to model, you're going to need to maybe provide a sentence frame like, I like blank because blank, to help them understand what that should sound like. But if they can answer in a complete sentence, it's going to be easier for them to write in complete sentences. So that's something that we can do. Another thing is before kids write, and you can do this on many levels. You can have the kids turn and talk to tell their whole story to a peer, but even like after they've gone to their seats and they're starting to write, something that I like to do is I like to have them turn to the person sitting next to them and just say to each other, okay, tell your partner the first sentence that you're gonna write. And then after they've talked, then they write. That just helps get them going a little bit. We've also talked about how easy it is for kids to forget what they wanted to write. Have them say the sentence once or twice. Have them say it to their partner, have their partner echo it, and then they write it. So the more talk or the more we're prepared to actually write that sentence. Now, another thing that we can do is not just with writing basic sentences, but getting kids to add more details and expand upon their sentences. So I like to start orally, right? So I might give them a really simple sentence like, he sat down. Okay, we'll read it. And then I'm not involving any writing yet, but I'm saying, okay, he sat down. Or I might say the boy sat down rather, because that would be easier. How could we tell more about where? How could we add details by telling where? Oh, the boy sat down in the park. When? Let's tell more details by adding when. Okay, what could we say? The boy sat down in the park at noon, whatever, right? So you can prompt the kids who, what, when, where, why, how, with those kinds of questions to get them to expand sentences orally. And that's a whole lesson in itself, right? You don't necessarily have to translate it immediately to writing sentences, just kind of like practice this orally. It doesn't even have to be during writing time. It's just all about adding more details. And so once kids have practiced that orally, it's going to be easier for them to translate it, right? So maybe to writing. So maybe they write the sentence, the boy sat down. And so then you meet with them and you're like, Let's add more details by telling, well, do you want to tell where the boy sat down, or do you want to tell when the boy sat down? You choose. So they choose one of those and then they add more. And of course, this is going to take modeling for sure, but this strategy is all about building clarity of thought, right? Encouraging them to use all the vocabulary words they know and just do that mental planning and rehearsal so that when it comes time to write, they know what they're going to say. They're not sitting there stuck because maybe they've already said it to their partner. And they also know how to write even better sentences because you've practiced orally adding more details with those who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. Strategy number 3 is to use visual scaffolds to build independence. Now, if we're thinking about like kids getting help while they're writing, because we've talked about it's a difficult task, they can get help from each other. They can get help from you. And you are obviously the most expert resource in the room, unless you have another co-teacher there right along with you. But kids also really benefit from having visual scaffolds that they can refer back to. So if it's personal narrative writing, like what we talked about at the beginning, you know, having some kind of like personal narrative is a true story about your own life, has beginning, middle, end. You know, maybe you have, like we talked about, having an anchor chart of different feelings. Maybe they can look up, okay, what seed emotion am I going to start with in order to write my personal narrative? So just having things up in the room, even like stuff about like capitalization, punctuation, just little reminders of what they're supposed to be looking for, that can be really helpful because again, we're trying to build independence here. It's impractical for you to be right next to every child all at once. You'd have to clone yourself, helping them write, helping them revise. We need to empower them and give them the tools to be successful. And having those visual resources around the classroom can really be helpful with pretty much any writing skill or task that they're working on. My last strategy is to make a personal writing folder for each student. And yes, it's great to have charts up in the classroom and things there, but we all know we run out of classroom space so quickly, and this can serve as something that builds their independence and is a resource for them because you can't be right there next to them helping them every second of writing time, right? So there's lots of different things that you might put in here. In a writing folder, I like to put have the kids put stuff that is in progress, green, go, ongoing, and stuff that's finished on the red side. I don't have them turn stuff in until we clean out our folders because a lot of times my lessons will be like, okay, let's talk about how to expand your sentences. Go to a red dot piece of writing that's finished. Let's take one out. Let's talk about how you can expand some of these sentences. So it's really helpful to have text that they have written that they can go back and revise. But with this, I will use folders that have, I like a sturdy folder, plastic or thick paper, and I will use ones that have brads in the middle. So then I might have like an alphabet chart, I might have a vowel chart, and this is all free, it's in the caption. I might have an editing checklist, I might have a specific genre checklist, like if we're working on informational writing. And of course you have to model repeatedly and teach them how to use this stuff, but having this right there in front of them really goes a long way, and again, helps build that independence. And you know, like, hey, I've taught you how to do this. And so when a kid is asking you, what should I write next, Mrs. Ryan? Or can you like look this over? Or did I do it right? You can direct them, hey, look in your writing folder. Is there a tool that could help you with that? So again, asking them and putting the responsibility on them because you have equipped them with tools that they can use without needing your help all the time. Okay, 2 things in the caption. Number 1, the printable writing folder tools. Number 2, I have a sentence writing success toolkit that will make it so much easier and more fun for you to teach your kids how to write complete sentences. There's a lot of good stuff in there. There's like a mini unit on sentence writing that you can differentiate to meet the exact needs of your kids because there's different paths. There's writing activities, things that break things down and like help you work on just sentence writing, help the kids build skill there. So definitely check out that link as well as the free writing folder tools. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful and gave you some ideas. As always, would love for you to like this video and then make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video.